Pooh Shiesty. Take out my worm, I'm feeling feisty. I'm too cold like an icy. Gerby. She gon' suck me up like Kirby. Playing with my nuts like a Furby. Playing with my balls like the pros. I'm a nut up on her nose, I'm a nut up on her toes. Way life goes, nobody knows. Pull up in a rose, and I just hit a pregnant woman. It was a mistake, but I mean, it is what it is. I was just pulling up in the rolls. I was just doing a lot of illicit activities with a bunch of hot women. I was just messing around with a bunch of hot women with big boobies, and something got in my eye, so that's why. That's why I'm wearing glasses. No, I'm sick, and my eyes look all messed up. I recorded like 2 minutes before this, and I looked over at my reflection. My eyes were all red, and it messed up my feng shui. I'm very self-aware. I'm self-conscious. I'm insecure is what I am. And this is what I've noticed with a lot of today's men. This transitions very well into the topic of conversation. Oh wow, look how he does it. What I've noticed what I've noticed with today's men, it's very like competitive. It's all about, it's like you look at other guys as hostile, because what happens is, well, let's just get one thing straight. Dudes ain't getting no bitches. There's a drought of hoes, as the economists would put it. Pew Research puts it at about 51% of men, but these are just the guys who admit it. It's not like scientists can run around, collecting little samples from guys' scrotes while they're sleeping and then put it in a test tube and analyze it for squirt molecules or something, okay? So we have to, the only thing we have to go off of is guys saying it. And if you account for that response bias, the actual number of guys who ain't porking is a lot higher than 51%. Pew Research is very reputable, by the way. So this is just a factoid. Dudes ain't getting no bitches. Let's set that down straight. Let's set that straight. The majority of men, right? And what happens when the dating market is so messed up, when the relationships between men and women are messed up, I find this also throws a wrench into relationships between men and other men, brotherhood. And it's possible that this also applies to girls' friendships with other girls, but I can't speak from personal experience in that regard. But what I've seen, what I can see with my own two eyes, is that with these guys now, the instant a girl comes around in a group setting, the energy changes. It's like a whole nother thing. These guys, they're starving. That's the thing. They're destitute. And it's very hard to depend on somebody like that, because they will backstab you for the slightest crumb of coot that they're just right when they see it. Because they're starving. This is what happens when people are starving. They'll kill you. They'll trample over you for that little piece of bread. That's just real, dog. And it's a damn shame to see it in person. These guys just turn into little goblins. You're just all watching it unfold. They're getting down on their knees, groveling at their feet, prostrating. They're getting down, tickling their prostate. Please like me. Please give me some attention. And these guys also, if you have a friend nowadays, he gets a girl, say goodbye. Sayonara. He's peaced out. He's gone with the wind. You're not going to see him again maybe until they break up in like 6 months or whatever. That's a little long, given how long relationships last nowadays. That might be a high estimate, but give or take 6 months, they break up. He comes back with his tails between his legs, and the cycle may repeat. It's a shame. It's really a shame. You can't. These friends aren't dependable because they're starving. And I'm talking about, like, these are all other people. I can't be sure this is not me at all. It's like a reflex. These things happen like a reflex. You know, once a girl comes around, it's like your instincts just kick in. You need that validation, especially if you're in this situation where you don't have any abundance, where you don't have any attention, like most guys now. The male ego is so strong because, definitionally speaking, if we're going by the way we define things, most men are incels, but they will never admit it. They'll be, no, I'm a Sigma male. I'm just focusing on myself. And these, the same way these guys are like bros over hoes. The instant a woman, and the instant a lovely woman comes around, I only want to use the word hoe and bitch for like comedic terms. I don't want to get into the pattern of just referring to women that way. But the instant a hoe rears her head, all that goes out the window. So it's you can't. It's reflexive. It's hard to control. At least I know I'm not down bad as some of these guys, because some of these guys you see, it's like, holy cannoli, man. Holy Toledo. These boys. But they are literally starving, The only way to really get rid of that is either if you're just like a very certain type of person, a very rare certain type of person where you just don't care, which is, I don't even know if that's a good character trait, like a sociopath or some shit. You just don't care at all. Or if you genuinely do have enough female attention to where you're not starving like that, to where you're satiated, you're not hungry. You've had your fill. I'm not going to say like necessarily you can't trust guys who don't get bitches, because that's just most guys, and but I just see it, how it messes up male friendships now. When the relationships in between the genders get messed up, it messes up, human relationships in general. It's very unfortunate what's happened. I have some words written down because I trail off, and I want to keep a steady head. We had something good. That's what was that? Oh yeah. So like, just remember, if you're a guy back in the days, you're just playing online games, you're out running around with your friends, whatever, doing pranks, chilling with the boys, playing games, ding-dong ditching, whatever you used to do. There was something that, like, there was just a fun innocence going on there, and we had something good, and I might have talked about this a little bit in the past, but as you grow up, as we get into this point where we have all these hormones, we have all these desires, and due to certain material conditions, we cannot fulfill them, and we become like these ravenous wolves. That's gone now. That messes it up. And it's like I've kind of accepted at this point that, like, as I'm coming into adulthood, I don't know if I'll ever have that like fun, chill brotherhood back again. It seems like I'll just have my family, close friends that I've known for a long time, that will and just acquaintances that I use to get further and climb up the ladder more. There's no real just like innocent, pure fun. Or maybe that was never real in the first place. The only reason it was real when I was young is just because, you're delusional and you're stupid and you don't care. Yeah, and here's another thing. Is that What was I gonna say? I'm gonna get it out. Gerby's gonna get it out. High school and like school in general, the way things have happened now, if you don't have a good social circle like after high school or college, it's kind of over. Like the ways to meet community aren't in place in society now. It's all been digitized. So high school and college is the only place where you're constantly around people your age with a healthy gender ratio. That's the only place it will be. And as someone who, I'm not going to college. I went to college for a little bit. I can't afford to. My parents are relying on me for their retirement. They're pretty old. I was going to be a doctor, I was going to go to medical school, but there's a bunch of problems with that I'm not going to get into. But I'm not doing that anymore. And trying to find community outside is different. I go to churches, I've tried all these different things, gyms, martial arts gyms, all this stuff. Churches, that's a dead end. Churches are pretty much there are no single women in churches. It's just a haven for incels is what I've found. The Orthodox Church, it's been like just all these dudes coming in alone in their late teens, early 20s, and they're not like they're just guys that come in alone for some like in hopes to find this like sanctuary. And it's different. It's not the same dynamic you had in school. The guys don't want to swallow this pill that like because here's what's happened, okay? Because people don't have social circles, that's why you have to rely on dating apps and cold approaching and all this weird stuff. Like, that is not natural. That is not how people met. For all of history, that is not how people met. Cold approaching, no. People act like, I can't remember where I heard, but somebody act like cold approaching was natural. It's absolutely not natural. You were not going up to strangers. The whole idea of a date in the postmodern context is just wrong, because here's the thing. Previously, when you went on a date, you already knew the person. You were already acquainted. You already were around each other in a group setting, and then the date would be you finally, getting your time together to go do something. Now you're just dating strangers, and I found it weird that I was nervous to go on dates even after I sort of did a lot to conquer my social anxiety and I realized it's just natural because it's weird. You're just hanging out with a complete stranger. I don't like that shit. You're just going on this weird interview with a stranger and you're also expected to pay for all this. It ain't it. It ain't it. Previously, when you date, you know the person. And also this hookup culture, like all the times I've boned. One time it was a genuine stranger, and I think I talked about this on this this channel. And I attributed all the bad things, all the bad feelings I had to, sex as a whole, which was kind of wrong. It's because it was a stranger. Like, that's so weird. That is so weird. And even still, like, I haven't had a genuine relationship, so I can only imagine that's the only real way for it to be like a cool, enjoyable experience, because I've only ever engaged in that with people who either I don't know at all or like I don't really know. They're just like we're sort of friendly, and it's just like it's whack. It is whack. There was something, that was a tangent. There was something I was getting back to, the whole high school thing. There's this thing called, okay, yeah. I remember what I was talking about. But since you have to rely on dating apps and cold approaching and all this stuff, and bars and nightclubs and all this, these are where looks mean everything. But the only way you can ascend that is through a social circle, through this thing called propinquity, where pretty much the more time you spend around people, you sort of break that first impression, that first immediate judge that happens, and you grow to like them more. Look it up, propinquity. Like, people fall in love through consistent, constant exposure. And that's what is facilitated through things like high school and college. You see people constantly, and there's a healthy gender ratio, a healthy age, where you're seeing people constantly. After you get out of those, there's not any relationships just served up to you. And there's no real communal structure, so you're kind of just out in the wild. If I didn't have a good family, good family connections and friends I know from my childhood, I would be completely alone right now. And it's hard to swallow for a lot of guys, this whole high school pill, because they blew it, or high school was a miserable experience for them where they didn't get any of that because of certain reasons. And that's what it was like for me. The first 2 years of high school, I was just short and ugly and weird. Well, maybe weird because of the way I was treated, because I was short and ugly and everything. And then after that, right at the time where I would have been able to ascend in this sort of environment or do well, the quarantine hit. So I got kind of boned. And it's kind of sad. It's something I frequently fantasize about. If I could have my current body, my current mind, go back to being 14 years old at freshman year, things would go differently. I would have a whole different experience and actually healthy social circles and stuff, but it's over. I don't have that. Thank God I have connections from when I was a kid, But it's just wild. It's just wild, dog. Yeah, it's whack. There's other stuff. I want to talk about, and I'm going to get it out. I don't care if I have to sit here in silence for 5 minutes. You can leave, but I'm going to remember. I'm going to remember, goddammit. Gerby's going to get it out. So basically, I had it. I got it. I just got to keep on talking, fill the space, but I'll get there. Daddy will get there. Daddy's gonna get there. Yeah, fuck it. That's it.